Um, so what I'm hearing is that you're clear that it's not going to happen without help because it's not your priority right now. And
Right.
so I would say the next question is, what kind of help would make it viable and exciting? Because it's good to have your priorities straight, and so there is the possibility maybe the that course, the 14-day high ticket course launch formula is too much to delve into right now. Each class is 14 days is enticing, that you can get it done in 14 days, but the fact is it's each day involves between an hour and a half and 2 hours of work perhaps. um, and with other things going on, that may not be a priority, but there may be aspects that you can do without the course. Maybe you could spend those 2 hours instead of on the course, just preparing your course directly, if you're confident with that. And if not, maybe these sessions could provide some support. So I'll just leave that open to see, and to welcome you also to ask any questions that you feel would be helpful to see what would make it easier for you to do the course, if you would really like that to happen by the summit, which probably would be a really, I'm sure you'd be happy if you do that.
Well, you know what? I've started reframing thinking of it, not necessarily so much as Dark Blossom, but what kind of course people are looking at Thrive Tribe Global, and we are here to help. We're saying that everyone can find a place, a tribe, where they could find something on offer for them. So I've been now shifting my gears, like, what kind of a course does Love Tribe offer? What kind of a course are people looking for if they come into Love Tribe? And that really, to me, doesn't have so much to do with Dark Blossom.
Right.
And I don't really feel like I have the bandwidth to and be concentrating on my own business and branding when I'm really here to be concentrating on that for Thrive Tribe Global.
Yeah.
That feels like that's my position. That's my place.
Yeah. Yeah.
Hi, Karsten.
Welcome, Carsten. How you doing,
Yo,
brother?
guys. How you guys doing?
Good. Good.
So I've been kind of listening to the first day of the course still. I only managed to listen to one day until now.
Okay, it's a start. It's a start. What's your where does it take you? Does it give you a feeling like it's gives you enthusiasm to do the rest, or yeah, where does it take you?
Well, it kind of reminds me of Business Accelerator.
Uh-huh.
The Business Accelerator, I think, was a bit longer than 14 days. At least, after having listened to the first part of it. Yeah, I definitely want to continue. I like the idea of working kind of downwards instead of upwards in terms of, prices and so on, starting with a higher course. But I definitely want to do it in relation to, that more kind of holistic lifestyle thing, I think. I'm not sure yet.
Sorry, say that last bit again. You definitely want to do it in relation to holistic lifestyle. I missed something, I think.
Yeah. Yeah, I didn't say more than this, like more related to holistic lifestyle. I'm still thinking, because I like the whole idea about permaculture design at the same time, or homesteading or whatever. At the same time, I don't know. Sometimes I think maybe it's not enough, or there's just like, what's his name again? His name, the guy.
Aaron Fletcher.
Yeah, Aaron Fletcher. Yes. He says that you know, that analogy from Tony Robbins of taking a glass of water out of the sea, and the sea doesn't notice there's no dent
Yes.
that you made in the sea because of taking a glass of water out. And so, you know, probably it's still just in my head that doing something in direction of permaculture, or, you know, like a more easy lifestyle or easy approach also to permaculture. Sometimes I think they overcomplicate things. Could be something, you know, to consider. So yeah, I'm still just feeling into it and going with the flow.
Yeah, well, I can give some what I had in mind for today could be useful at the point where you're at in asking yourself that question. You know, in one of the early stages of the Fletcher method, and what you find in the 14-day high ticket course launch formula, I managed to memorize the thing. There is something that he refers to as the $1 million message, which is kind of a cheesy name perhaps, but it's a way of saying that you very concisely can describe what you offer in one sentence in a way that is really compelling. It's not like just saying I'm a coach, or I teach permaculture, or because it's not just referring to the category or the subject that you work with. It refers to the problem you're solving, who you're solving it for, how long it takes, and what challenge. Say again?
What is the map? What is the path? Right?
The map is is in a way a different component. It's a super important component in his whole thing is the visual maps. But in this case, it's a phrase where you and the map describes it visually. But here I'm speaking really, it's a phrase where you say, I help this type of person to overcome this problem, to go from here to here, and in this amount of time, and without this particular challenge or unpleasant thing that you might normally have to do that, to experience in order to achieve your results. So you're achieving a bunch of different things with that one sentence. And so it's not that you use that sentence over and over and over and over to market, but it's when you can actually come to that clarity of what that sentence is, it helps inform your whole communication, including how you set out what it is you offer. Because just notice one of the components is that you're talking about a pain and not a subject, not a theme, but a pain. The thing that you are wanting to, the point A where people are at right now and where they really don't want to be, which is already a motivation for engaging in what you're offering if they're at that point A. Whereas if you just say that I do coaching, just to give the opposite, the sort of other extreme where you present yourself in a category or as an expert in some field, it doesn't necessarily bring about the same response because you place yourself in a category, in a group of people, whereas the moment that you are presenting yourself as going from this particular point that's very quite specific, the A, and the B is very specific, and who it's for is specific, and the fact that you're going to be able to avoid going through this route to get there. All of that is one of the foundational aspects. So if you can, each of you, if you want to use this already in practice today, in relation to whatever programs you're working with or that you're conceiving, what problem is there to solve? What urgent problem? And that's another factor, the urgency, because it can be a problem that somebody just feels no urgency about. Like they might even assume that there's no solution to it. And so there's no sense of urgency in that case. There's a pain, but there's just like a, feeling resigned to the idea that, well, that's just my life. It's got this pain. But when there is a sense of urgency, you've got much more likelihood that the person's going to really respond to what you're offering, what you're proposing. And a vivid way of putting it that Aaron uses is, what would your ideal customer, client, student, whatever it may be, what do they wake up at 3 o'clock in the morning in a cold sweat thinking about, saying to themselves, And so going from something relatively general like permaculture, like they don't wake up thinking, I've got to understand permaculture better. But there might be some specific thing relating to permaculture that they do really need. Like maybe they're feeling a sense of urgency about, like, I've got to create self-sufficiency for my family. I've got to understand how to do this, because they're feeling a sense of like their livelihood is under threat, the changing economy, whatever it may be, that they're feeling like I've got to find a way to create self-sufficiency in the next couple of months. Imagine there's even that level of like, because there's another lockdown maybe, and then many countries are doing that, thinking about it. So there's a sense of like, before there's another lockdown and all work gets affected, I need to get some things planted that I know are going to be providing some food in the next few months. Something like that. That's really specific. That's really practical. That's really about a specific problem, and alleviating it. And of course, you can build a project, a course on much more broad and general things. But the proposal here is that you create something that's a high ticket offer. Like you said, you're beginning with a high ticket proposal, and then you can build down from there. But for it to be high ticket, there has to be a high value that's recognized immediately in terms of why to engage in it, why to do that right now, why do that course, why your client would do that course. Anyone have any reflections or questions and how you'd apply that to your own situation?
I have an example, actually.
You have what?
I have an example. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're quite quiet.
I think your sound is not good. I don't know if it's because of the microphone or something.
Yeah, it is. It is.
I can hear you better now, though.
Maybe it's the difference. How's that?
That's much better, yeah.
That's better. Okay, this was my headset. So this is an offer that I just actually bought. It's from somebody that I actually know. But the question that he poses, wait, what is the question he posed at the end? First of all, he gives his thing. Yeah, he's looking for 15 fearless souls, sick of procrastination, self-doubt, and anxiety, ready to take back control. So basically, he's the thing that we're waking up at 3 o'clock in the morning would be like, oh my God, my life is out of control, right? And apparently we are already as far to know that has to do with things like procrastination and self-doubt. And well, so this is just an example, but it just made me think like, yeah, that's the same sort of strategy.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it's very specific. And the reason why I'm using this as an example is because when I read Fearless Soul, Sick of Procrastination, I was like, okay, sign me up.
Yeah. That's exactly the response that you're looking for, which is very different to, like I just said, presenting a category, which people might say, oh yeah, I'm interested in that. It's a very different response saying, yes, sign me up, or yeah, that's interesting.
And then, of course, that was just like one little piece of it. But what he offers is also very specific because it's combining microdosing and shadow work with,
wow.
Yeah. And it's only 249 euros. So, I mean, I'm good at selling somebody else's stuff, but no, but it wasn't about
the course.
No, but I mean, well, see, that's the one reason why I want to take it is because I'm thinking it could be my course, like it's really all of those elements that I'm interested in that I know can be life-changing, but I feel like I'm procrastinating. I feel like, there's something holding me back and I feel like I want to use the same process to dive into myself. But I understand what you're saying, and because these sentences, we got them also in a couple different courses that Jay has offered us along the way, and it's always like, I help like female executives between the age of 35 and 45 to get in touch with their yonis, for instance.
Yeah.
Because I think that's what you mean, right?
That's awesome. Yes, I love it.
Oh,
I want to have women like that are in touch with their yoni.
But it's kind of like my whole premise is helping people take the journey out of the head and into the heart, out of the head and into the body. And I've been working with this question, this formula, as you're presenting it to us for quite some time. I've got loads of notes that I'm actually tonight going to throw in the fire because I just want to start all over again.
So the only thing I would say is missing from the last example you gave is the sense of urgency.
Right.
It's enticing, and certainly some people say, yeah, I identify with that. That's the journey I'm on, or that's a journey I'd like to take. But there isn't necessarily quite that intensity of, I really need this now. Like, this is going to save me from
save you a sexless, boring life at the age of 45 or whatever. Yeah, I mean, that could be.
Right. Being aware of what's the consequence of not solving this.
Right.
Like, what's their fear of not solving this situation that you're offering a solution for? Because understanding that really can help to phrase what's being offered in a way that's not just education. It's, like I said, problem solution.
Really transformative. I mean, that's what I feel right now, that I myself, but also people in general, and if I'm going to be selling, it's like, put your money with something that's going to transform your life. Like, you will be able to go like, my life isn't like that anymore. Maybe it's not even where you want it to be, but at least it's not like it was.
Yeah.
There's this incremental transformative.
Yeah. And something that you just reminded me of is Aaron talks about this in well, I'm not sure he talks about it in this particular program, but he talks about this in some of his work, how often people, rather than actually being most motivated by what they want, they're most motivated by the opportunity to avoid what they are afraid of.
One more time?
They're most motivated by the avoidance of what they don't want. That's what they're really driven by. It's like, I don't want this to happen. So if you present an opportunity to avoid that, to ensure that does not happen, they're more likely to act on that than if you present a positive as the objective, as the outcome.
So can you repeat that? They are most motivated
by the avoidance of what they don't want or what they fear. And he contrasts this with, in the case of, if you're offering a product, a service, a consulting service, for example, to a business, a large business, often they shift their focus. They're focusing on expansion. They're focusing on the positive outcome that you can offer. But in general, individuals are more motivated by avoidance of pain than by a benefit.
Oh yes, so basically it's the focus on the you don't want to, on what you don't want, right?
Yeah, but this isn't the case of like the law of attraction of, if you think about the negative, you're going to create it. It's just that's what's going to more likely to create a response is.
Yes. I'm not saying it in any negative way. More like most people are on that.
Yeah.
And you just use it and you are the one kind of rechanneling into the solution, right? Yeah.
I'm just going to close my window here. It's kind of cold.
I'm feeling it.
Oh, my microphone's on. Pedro, you look so boss drivey. Like you got your big desk out, all your papers. I'm going, wow.
Boss driving.
Huh?
Ready for some business, Blossom.
Yeah, it looks like it.
Yes.
I'm already with my notes open on my computer. Actually, I'm on Notion.
Oh, good, good, good.
I have
You can just
three writing.
Oh wow!
what's going on there?
Yeah, one for one for Blossom, one for Carsten, one for Peter.
Yeah, exactly. He's taking psychological notes. He's observing all three of us very well, and later we will get the Pedro report. And all of that for if you sign up today, a special price just for you for $199. Yeah.
So
Hey, but Karsten, the notes that you're taking, can you put these like under BizTribe, that these are actually the notes from a BizTribe call? So
Yeah,
that
I
the
actually
whole
just
team.
had an idea in regards to that, which is, well, like instead of having the notes, one for the open calls and one for the ThriveTribe calls, I just have in the table that I'm making, I just have one that is only for open calls, one for BizTribe, or like and whatever other calls, so that we can differentiate them.
Yeah. Yeah.
But it's always kind of the same model for the.
I'm just wondering if this is like, is this going to be like open source for everyone that's on the Notion platform in the team?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. That's what I meant. Okay, cool.
Yeah.
All right.
Peter, by the way, yeah, I have expanded the Notion, and I'm getting a hold of it and getting better with it and being able to interlink it and everything, and yeah, I've been working on it, so it's getting better.
Great.
Yeah,
Great.
if you want, you have access to it, so if you want to take a look at it, just feel free.
Okay, great. And it's a good sign that you're all taking notes. Hopefully that's a sign that this is of value and stimulating, useful, giving insights. So that was the main theme I actually wanted to bring today, is the $1 million message and how we can apply it to our particular projects or enterprises. So
enterprise.
is there any more question on that? Because we can move on to another theme if there isn't anything that feels important to go into. But we can, if you'd like to brainstorm ideas together, we can stay on this and go deeper with what each of you are working on. Karsten, would you like to see how we could apply this to? You were. Let me see if I also understood. You were saying about the well-being, the area of well-being, and then you said about permaculture. And I'm not sure that I fully understood if you were saying that you were.
Yeah, I don't want to have it just purely about permaculture. Like.
Right. You don't want it to be just specifically about permaculture only. Okay.
Yeah.
But don't forget, just this, and this is something that I'm saying to all of you and myself, don't forget that we're talking about a program among potentially many programs that you can create. This particular program would be designed in such a way as to be high ticket and high impact and to create a thriving business. And based on that, you can create more programs. So it's not a decision about what your whole business and your whole life is going to be dedicated to, this one problem. So it's not as limiting as that. And remembering that can help to make the decision. Yeah, I'll go ahead with this problem for this program. And it doesn't need to limit you beyond the scope of just this program. And I think that's super important to remember, because the tendency I think we have, certainly for me, is to try to include everything, like all the skills we have, all the possible ways we can help people, to kind of try to pour it all in to a program. because we know it's going to be helpful to people. But the thing is, it's not going to be helpful to as many people if not as many people get what we're offering. If it's just overwhelming, the proposal is overwhelming, and it doesn't sort of address anything specific that's really painful at this moment. It's just sort of general education on a broad number of things, and it's going to help on all these different levels, but it doesn't trigger that response that Blossom exemplified, which is sign me up now. You know?
Yeah, so the thing for me then is that supposedly, or how I'm seeing it, is that we're going to use the summit as some kind of leverage for our program and our course, right? I assume that is the idea that we had initially also, right? It's definitely that it's a place to locate. Yeah. This is the place to place the course. Hey man, I'm giving this course, you know? And since it is like that, I think for me, it makes a lot more sense that I do something related to ecology than, you know, making another version of Mind Shape Heart Set, which I had before, which is a lot more into well-being and so on and so forth. What I could do with Mind Shape Heart Set is just polish it up if, you know, if I have time for it after doing this one in regards to ecology, and add that one to it as a second one, you know?
Yeah. And possibly, again, using the framework that Aaron Fletcher proposes, you set your program out as 9 steps, okay? And so potentially your mindset, heart-shaped mindset, no, other way around. What is it?
Mind shape, heart set.
Mind shape,
Mind shape, heart set.
Your Mind Shape Heart Set program maybe could be a component of a larger program. You could have the option of going into it as a more extended, deeper thing, but it could also be something that you offer within a larger framework. If that makes sense. I'm not saying that necessarily does. I don't know, but it's something that's you know.
I mean, like at one point, obviously, will make sense to have many little courses that you can sell them all individually, and then you have the big package where you sell all of them a little cheaper.
Yeah, so we're kind of zooming in and out here. We're and zooming out and looking at that aspect of the sort of the larger business model. What Aaron proposes in this system where you create these 9 steps, and each step can be an independent course, potentially. It can be an independent course. It can be, each step can also represent an article or a set of articles or a set of videos. So it's also content that you can create that brings people awareness of what you do, what you offer. And so each of those steps or potentially modules or even individual courses can be speaking to a different problem, you know?
Yeah.
In a way, speaking to a different core avatar in the sense that they're at a different stage in the process and therefore will be more responsive to the message. So coming back even to the $1 million message, each step can have a $1 million message because you're solving a problem at each step. And so this is like a fractal approach. It's like instead of you have one theme or even $1 million message that describes your whole course, and then you put it out in step 1, 2, 3, all the way to 9 as content or as education. You don't frame it as content or education. You frame it as problem solving. Every step of the way, problem solving, obstacle avoiding, problem solving. You know, every step of the way you're speaking of the problem solved or the benefit you're attaining. And that for that reason, you have this possibility of each step being super appealing. And each step can serve as I gave examples like an article, a video, webinar, and it can draw people to your bigger program, or they may, if it's appropriate, that they may do that module by itself, and it's a way that they come to know what you do. And so while you're in terms of business building, you're focusing on this high ticket foundation, you're actually potentially creating your smaller ticket offers at the same time. You're creating the entry level content and programs at the same time. So there's a lot of very intelligent interweaving of strategies, let's say, in this. So it's not just marketing; it's also business planning. It's how to create a really strong foundation, and then really the marketing comes afterwards. But you can think of the fact that you're beginning with a message, not just a problem or a theme. You're beginning with a message, really. And so you're, in a way, already starting with marketing wisdom embedded at the foundational level. Because what often people will do is they'll create something they're passionate about. And I've done this before. I've created things that I'm passionate about and that I know that people are interested in, but it's not a critical problem-solving thing. It's educational, and there's an audience for that. People will respond, not to the same level. They won't value it in the same way, and maybe it'll take a process of education before they recognize the full value. I was talking with Peter about this earlier today. He helped me out a lot with seeing through my blind spots for how to apply this for myself. Because sometimes that's also the value of us doing this together, is that we can understand the principles. Like when they're explained, we can completely understand them, and we yet can still find it difficult to apply them to our own work.
Yeah, so I'm seeing it. Like I think one of the immediate things that has come up to me, and actually since last week when I had the BizTribe call, I started thinking a little bit about, what do I want to bring to people? And obviously, if you look into permaculture design, it's always a long-term approach. Nevertheless, if you apply the principle of stacking in space and time, so that you get more out of it in the process of getting to where you want to go, you have all these little things that are little results that you want to achieve. There is all this immediate stuff that many people want to start doing. And so the first immediate thing that came up to me is like, what is one of the things that everybody, all of us, can already start doing now to have an effect on ecology and start preparing for the future where we want to feed ourselves and so on and so forth, and build soil and make ecology better and feed nature and help nature and so on and so forth, and diminish CO2 and methane and da. And that is composting, right? So that's the one thing that I could start right here, right now in this room right here. I have a bucket, I have some kitchen scraps, and I have some newspaper, and I start doing it. Right?
Yeah. With worms?
Say it again?
With worms?
Yeah, I have some worms.
Yeah, that's what you'd use, right?
Yeah. So I think, that approach would definitely be already one little thing that I could start doing. Like, what is that would be probably obviously this would be the minimum viable product. Nevertheless, it's not the high ticket one. The high ticket is kind of a big thing already, right?
Yeah, that's right. So there isn't a that's absolutely right. There isn't a high level problem that I see in that situation of like, I'm going to go from not having a home compost to having a home compost system. That's interesting. It's enticing, and it can really help people engage with what you do as a low ticket offer, as a free offer, even like as a video tutorial. It's something that people can engage with because they're interested in, and that can be a step to knowing what else you do. But I'm not seeing that as a high ticket offer. So an example perhaps of a high ticket offer, and notice, for example, in terms of permaculture design, imagine that somebody is in the process of buying a house, right? Buying land actually is a better example. They're in the process of buying land. That is a stage at which they would perhaps most benefit from support. It's before they start building and planting and doing a bunch of things. It's having clarity on what they're doing before they start putting things in the way, you know. And so a high ticket consulting, for example, would be to specifically address people that are at that stage of, I'm about to buy land, I'm about to I'm wanting to start getting machines on the land to sort of shape it or do this or do that. To have consulting at that stage before they do that, they could save them a tremendous amount of work. It could potentially save them a tremendous amount of money. And so there's a direct relationship between investing in what you could help them with, your program, consulting. There's a direct and obvious relationship between investing in that and saving them money or time. Right.
So what I wrote down now is idea: find the best piece of land with the best conditions for sustainable future, the biggest bang for the buck, right?
Yeah.
Something in that direction, right?
Yeah. So even at that level of helping them find the land, that's a good example. We could work more on the phrasing of it, but it's definitely on track in terms of like a high ticket, high value offer, you know, that's got the urgency. It's like they're looking now to buy. Yeah.
That was the thing that he was speaking about. Like he was giving some examples about the gardening and so on. And the example was, okay, you have this house with this garden and so on and so forth. You want to sell it, but you want to increase the value. So you make this real quick gardening course that gives you the tools to establish a garden that will increase the value of the land, and you will make a lot more money through being able to sell the house more expensive than you would, than the money you spend for the course. So it will definitely be worthwhile.
Yeah.
Exactly. Thank you, man. Yeah, that's a really good idea. Awesome.
It's great. Pedro or Blossom, would you like to reflect on how you'd apply this as well? And if not, we can look more at the specifics of the message if you like, Karsten, on the phrasing of it or.
Yeah, it's what is coming up right now with these ideas, and kind of honing in a little bit more into that place where I'm solving a problem. It's something that can, kind of speaks into the problematic of the urgency, right?
Mm-hmm.
And this problem will make the people eventually save money to the people that are interested in this.
Yeah.
Or that would buy the course. Like obviously you want to sell a more expensive course, but it must be worthwhile for the people that are interested in it. So it must give them the value that yeah. Oh damn it! Now I'm stuck. But definitely, it must make them, earn something from it. In that sense.
Yeah. So coming back to the application of this framework that is Aaron's framework that I'm studying and coming to a deeper understanding of, so that I can share it in systematically. The one of the things that he really emphasizes and talks about in this particular course as well, the high ticket course launch formula, is the business model, the format of one to many. So we're talking about a course, right? But you could apply the same mapping of what you offer to a consulting offer, a one-to-one offer, or one, to a business. It doesn't have to be a course necessarily. You'd still benefit from the process of getting the clarity of your message, getting the clarity of the steps, all the framing of it, the mapping of it, to present what you do, even if it's as a consulting offer. And you can embed also a one-to-one consulting offer within a one-to-many course. So you could, for example, address in a course for a group of people who are in that situation right now. They're looking for a house or looking for land. And as a group, they could participate in a program. And you could, through that program, or either included in the program, have one-to-one consulting, or as an upgrade, there can be the one-to-one consulting. There could even be really high level, like, you travel across the world potentially to help people in this process. I mean, there's all sorts of ways that this can be applied, either locally or just online, or actually, that you go and help them hands-on, on location.
Let me just add to this. I wrote this down. So basically, one-to-one consulting offer within a course as a specific offer or upgrades to the more low-value course, right? So do you have the low-value people in the course that don't go into the consulting?
Well, in this case, we're talking about a high-ticket course anyway, but you could have an even higher ticket consulting, one-to-one consulting.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But then probably you could use these as kind of special content, like the one-to-one offer, the one-to-one consulting that is happening could be content also for the course, right? For example.
Yeah, great. I mean, it could serve, like, you could have aspects filmed. You could have, certainly it would be really good to always have case studies as much as possible. Have case studies, film the projects, film the what's possible to film, and have interviews. All of that is really valuable as well, whether it's directly, like you said, course material, which is great to be able to have, or as marketing material. Here are examples of how this would apply to you. Here's examples of people that have benefited from this process, what it meant for them, what challenges they were having and overcame through this process. All of that sort of case study, testimonial, that can be super powerful, really important for people to feel confident in working with you. Having case studies and testimonials can be super important.
Cool, man. Yeah.
Anything else?
I'm liking this. This is cool.
Great.
Yeah, you're really good at this, man.
Thank you. I enjoy it. I really enjoy it. I enjoy, for one thing, I've been studying it not as systematically as I have been recently, but I've been studying it for a long time, and now much more focused way, really paying attention to the details and to the sequence of things, how things build upon each other. And I love the creative process of problem solving. And in a way, this is kind of applying, problem solving to all these different levels. And I love looking at the nuances of how, if you tweak this little thing, it can make a huge difference. So the leverage of understanding how things can, how little things can make a huge difference. Um, and I'm talking here specifically about Aaron's work because it is so systematic. What you find often in other marketing approaches, and it's both let's say business coaching, in terms of what is offered or what is the benefit. It's similar to what you get through business coaching, but it's also marketing, but different from what most marketing does, in that most marketing is like, you do a strategy for this, do this for your Facebook ads, do this for YouTube, do this for Instagram, do this for email, and it's all kind of disjointed. It doesn't interconnect, and so it can be very difficult to get the most benefit from it, because you just find yourself all over the place trying to do a little bit of everything, and without it really working synergistically as well as it could. So that's why I'm really focusing on Aaron's approach, the Fletcher method, because of the power of the zoom out, where everything, the whole picture is there, and the zooming in to all the details. Would you like to look at the specifics of the message, like the $1 million message, and see where we go with that, or is there anything else that's coming up, that's bubbling up, that's
You're still talking to me, right?
Yeah, I mean, well, let's come back on video. Is there something you'd like to share?
I'll have to go, guys.
Because I've given, yeah, Pedro, go ahead.
See you soon. Big love to you.
All right, big hug.
Yeah,
Ciao.
Ciao, ciao.
Thanks for being with us.
I'm feeling really tired, and I'm just listening to the process, and with many times you're saying stuff and I'm thinking, yeah, what problem could I solve? I actually think that I personally need to go, I don't know, back somewhere else. Like, what is it actually that I could help someone with? But I'm just listening and taking note of things that resonate.
Yeah.
So what I would
questions that
say
come
to
up.
that real quick is, I think you help people, specifically women, to get back in touch with themselves. While, like at an older age, we tend to get more and more disconnected from who we really are. I was just having a long conversation with my mom because of, relationships that she has. And I'm like, come on, like, I'm remembering you of who you are. And like, you're not right now, you're still not living it. And I think this would be one of the solutions for it. And it's just you who needs to really step out into that. And I think that you are a really good facilitator in that sense to, connect people back into women more into, into who they are, into their yoni, into their sexuality, into that kind of, the style that you bring things is so beautiful, I think. And yeah, that's what came to my mind right now.
Thank you. Thank you. I receive it. I think that's where I am right now, is to receive that. And but I love listening to this process. And yeah, I just know that when the time is right, it will be good that I have had this like education. Yeah. So carry on with Carson's process. I want to hear. I actually also get ideas for you by listening to you, which is so interesting. We can see each other differently than we can see ourselves. But
Yeah.
I would agree 100%. If I wanted to know something about permaculture, I would first want to know what is the right place to do that in. Like, what do I need? What do I need to be looking for if I'm looking for a community, or if I'm looking for, let's just say for me, I could be a sort of test subject. I'm looking to go into a community that has all of these values and standards, but I wouldn't even know what to look for. And now I'm not talking about I'm the one that wants to have the property to do this, but I want to look for a community that's already on this road. So what would be the things that I would look for? And I'm just putting it out there as one thing that like someone like me would want to have a problem. I mean, this would be a problem that I would have that I would want solved. I'm not saying that that's what you do. But I agree with, you've got to look at what the basics are before you just jump into what permaculture is. Yeah.
Yeah, a module on that theme of community of, because some people may be thinking of doing something by themselves, but or as a family. But I think for many people who work with permaculture, there is either it is part of a community thing, or it's something that they recognize that it would work better if they have help at least, and so the managing the community aspect, or the group dynamics, the project management, all these aspects that relate to the group that's engaged in the process, that could be a component in a course. How to make sure that you've got a sustainable group management process approach, so that the process doesn't go under. Because I think that's one of the things. And again, like if you're thinking in terms of like avoiding a pain or finding a solution to a possible obstacle, imagine this as a campaign for that particular module, or as a webinar or something which shows people the bigger picture of what you're offering. Is like you can have an ad, a video, article with the theme like why most communities don't last, and introduce the whole subject of what's important in terms of the design principles, including the social permaculture, the understanding of the relationships, the people involved. That I think it would make sense it could make sense. I mean, there may be other components that are more important in what you're doing, but it's a possibility of a module having that theme.
Well, I'm not that the beast or whatever, and social permaculture or whatever. I really like the modes in which certain groups can act and all of that, and I really like way of council, for example, and stuff like that, or sociocracy. I have only witnessed sociocracy, yeah, once. Never done a course of it, but it was really pragmatic and was fun and was engaging, and people were participating, and the ones that could not, like it's usually what happens in these kinds of contexts is that you have some that are just focused on the problems, and if they don't bring any solutions onto the table, you just pass on to the next one. And they don't like and it's not there's the possibility of getting stuck in the problems is kind of bypassed a little bit, which is cool. But yeah, I haven't looked too much into it, and definitely probably one of my weak points, to
where you have a journey that involves going from A to B, and you feel like your strengths are in certain parts of that journey, and then there are some parts that you don't feel you're that strong on. One way is to think, well, then I don't, that's not the journey that I'll do. I'll do this other part of the journey, or this other type of journey, which I'm strong on all the way. But you can also collaborate on components of your offer, whether it's a course, consulting thing. You can have either partnerships with people that work live in a program, or it's recorded. Like you have a recording of an interview, or a mini course within the course, let's say, or a guidance on a specific subject, such as the social permaculture part. That could be something that you could, in a way, outsource, in the sense that you bring in that expertise into the program. So there's always that possibility of making a big promise, let's say, of taking this great journey that you don't have to be 100% confident in every step of it because of your own expertise, because you can bring other solutions in.
So outsourcing, basically.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And just coming back to also what you were saying, Blossom, of not feeling quite sure what you have to offer. Just two comments on that, or suggestions. One way to figure it out is to look at your own journey and the big transitions you've had, and so to think of the life lessons, the life transitions, where would you be if this hadn't happened? So just to think about your path in terms of what your experience is and what you've learned, and how you could help people at those nodal points, those forks in your path, let's say, where because this happened, this didn't happen. And the moment you really are clear on that, you can say, well, I can help people do this rather than this, by looking back at where you've gone and where you haven't gone, and also looking at where you have suffered, where you have felt that mistakes were made.
That's easier to do. Thinking like,
insights, compassion, and resources to help people through the challenges you've been through. So yeah.
I wanted to add to that real quick, which is so many of personal development, like Tony Robbins and all these guys, they speak exactly into this, like the worst things that have happened in our lives, and that that we have overcome are actually the medicines that we bring, isn't it? These are the things. Like there was a day where it passed through my mind to jump off a bridge because I just wanted to get off this situation that I was in, that I was in pain, and that I was sad, and that I felt whatever. And I took myself out of it, and I overcame it. And ever since, like, whoever I meet that I see is in a more or less similar situation, or in a situation where they cannot value themselves, I'm like, hey man, you got this and you got this situation, and look at this. Have you tried this? And what about this? Da, 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 da. Like, hey, okay, start tomorrow. this. And it just flows automatically. And I think, Blossom, if you really look into yourself, I think you will find all these things as well.
I mean, I've also been there many times, even recently. Like, but what's different from, I think, before as now is that I have a much more awareness of my thoughts. Like, I think I don't even need to be here. You know what I mean? I'll have that sort of what they call suicidal thoughts or tendencies, but it's not something that is just coming out of nowhere or that I have no idea of. I have the awareness, what would you call the consciousness of it? I can almost even speak to that thought. But yeah, so, but something else occurred to me is that, and this is what you've been saying along many times, it's like, we're only talking about one course, one thing, like one thing that you, and then it's like, okay, because I go, like there's this and there's this and there's this and there's so many things, yeah. And also I have to say that what's kind of pulling at me, I have this idea that I have to be making something that is somehow tied into Love Tribe. And I don't know if that's true or not, because there's something else that's really active in me at the moment. And that is like this whole thing of waste management and conscious consumerism. I'm just kind of throwing out a little.
There may be things that you can collaborate with someone else on, because if you're really wanting to do something for Thrive Tribe, for Thrive Tribe Global, and you want it to support the whole purpose of the wave that's created there in the summit, but it's not totally clear to you what to do with Love Tribe in that format of like a course or something, and you've got ideas that are present of something that maybe relates to another tribe, there's always that possibility of co-creating something. It's still going to be of immense value to Thrive Tribe Global and to the people that come into contact with us, whether or not it's specifically Love Tribe. So there's there are other possibilities.
I know something I can do really, really well. And that is create a dating profile that gets you a lot of matches and absolutely no dates.
Brilliant. Try it out.
No, you guys, everyone like loves my profile, and like nobody wants to actually go out with me. Or like,
so what do you mean they put likes but they don't propose a date? Is that what you mean?
they will go like, oh my God, what an amazing profile, what a goddess, what an amazing woman, and what you say. And there's never any question. It's just like a comment on the profile, as if, sometimes I think like, why don't I do this on Instagram instead of on a dating profile? Do you know what I mean?
I think that's a theme in Tinder. Like I had the same thing more or less.
What, that a lot of people would say something about your profile, but they weren't
Well,
really
I didn't have a
interested
lot
in.
of people, or girls or whatever, but it's like for you to have engagement and and starting a conversation. Hey, let's meet up, and then nothing happens. It's just boring. It's just fucking boring, and for me, it was not a good experience. Whatever.
No, I was just saying, like, I'm thinking, what is it that who could I help him with what? Well, I can help get help get a profile that gets a lot of traction.
Yeah.
So maybe
that again, if you can tie that into a specific pain, and there obviously is a pain around that, So
well, yeah, I would think so.
Yeah,
I don't know how that is for other women, if they do get a lot of interest or not. Yeah.
Your offer would be appealing to those who are not, of course. Those who are already getting a lot of interest and traction, so on. They would not be your target audience for that. They would.
No.
For those who are feeling frustrated about how do I communicate who I am, what that would be really powerful. Be really powerful. Yeah, that's definitely a possibility. And so if that's something that you feel is a good Love Tribe offering to help people connect in that way, through how they communicate about themselves, then yeah, that's a possibility.
Well, see, that's also the thing that can be tied into this dating app that we will be offering. I was even thinking we call it the love app. Like, just let's be real clear. It's about the love.
Tem tempo agora.
Não tem tempo? Ok. Vem cá.
Portuguese. Who is this? You're muted.
Yeah, it's his mom.
Is it your mom?
Yeah.
Yeah, it sounded like Carson's mom. Yeah. I recognize.
She's Brazilian, isn't it?
Yeah. She's very sweet. She was asking if I needed some dinner, and then the kittens came in, and she wanted to get the kittens out. And I said, "It's okay, just leave the kittens. It's all good." So, but I do need to complete our session, our call. I invite you to continue with this, integrating these principles, see what they lead to in terms of ideas for what you're working on, or what might be birthed as a result of this. And the Boss Tribe page is also, it's the group is also there for us to share ideas, mastermind together, brainstorm together. So feel free to continue the conversation on this there.
Are you talking about the Telegram boss tribe or the Facebook or both? I mean, I often go like, where should I go?
I confess, I've only been really active in the Telegram one.
Yeah,
Okay.
me too. Like it's too much for me.
Yeah. I'd like to start getting more involved in the in our own platform, but I haven't yet. So it's
Me
in the
neither. It seems like every time I go on there to try to do any actionables, I get stuck. And then I don't like to get stuck with technology, and hours go by and it's like, not another afternoon.
Yeah.
The other day I did a really nice post.
Yeah. And then what happened?
and I
Gone.
posted it and it didn't work, and then I clicked somewhere else and then it disappeared, and I'm like, oh, like gone, really? Like
Yeah.
such a big text, and I'm like, no.
Yeah.
And so
I get
I sent a
that's it.
nice message, but
Yeah. Yeah, we have, I think there's so many of these little technical things that I feel like I need to learn. Just like Zoom skills, and yeah, it's a whole list, but there's things that happen in these meetings, in these calls. And I'm just like, okay, I didn't realize that my technical skills were not up to par. Anyway, we need to round this up, but
Yes.
yeah.
So yeah, I invite you to continue with the conversation in the Telegram group, and
Yes, thank you.
beautiful
awesome.
to.
If you want to stay on the call,
Mhm.
Peter, if you want to pass the host or something to one of us.
I don't think I can because it's in my account, and I'm about to give another class. So I think
Oh yeah, that's right.
It's your
You've
You've got your
okay.
class.
I have to
Sorry.
close this call.
Awesome. Yeah, sorry, I didn't know that. Love you,
Big
brother.
love to you guys.
Thank you so much, eh?
Thank you.
Talk
Thank
to you soon.
you.
Thank you.
See you later,
Ciao.
Peter and Karsten. Bye-bye. Love you guys.
Love you too.
Love you.